new in the area, starting out. And I find it's okay. Okay for the first.
What have you been selling all weekend?
We were selling, we had some sauce yesterday. And today I had some fish cakes and flying fish. So it was all good.
So it's worthwhile then to have rally in this area?
Yes, it is, yes. Yes, I would say that it is.
The economic benefits, huh? These vehicles are filled with gasoline, ice and food packed in the trunks. Rally Barbados, I say, yay! Rally Barbados 2011 saw a whopping 10 World Rally cars and an impressive 90 entered for the 2 days of 24 grueling stages, which covered 118.7 competitive stage kilometers. Competitors from all over the world converged on Barbadian soil for the region premier event that saw a number of changes for the first day as well as the end of the rally. Rally Barbados 2011 is off. Roger the Sheriff, Skeete and Louis Venetia were away on stage 1, which was the 3.9-kilometer Pickering stage. With 3 runs through each time, Skeete in his S12B Subaru Impreza WRC was fastest each time through. England's Paul Bird and Scottish co-driver Christy Riddick were next to tackle the stages. They were lying in 4th place after the first one. However, they immediately began to climb up the standings with each passing stage. Surfer Bourne and Ronald Plant in the Ford Focus WRC posted the second fastest time on the opening stage, and in the loop before the lunch hold, he was battling to keep this position. England's Rob Swan and Wales' Darren Garrett had an impressive start for their first competitive outing in the WRC class with the S12 Subaru Impreza WRC. They were 5th on the opening stage, then returned on stage 4 to post the 3rd fastest time. Jamaica's Gary Craig and Hugh Hutchinson had a cautious start to their rally in the Ford Focus WRC. A former winner of the event, Greg found himself 9th after the opening stage but was able to move up into 6th place by stage 4. Sean Gill and Michael Cummins had a horrible start to the rally and found themselves having to claw their way out from 39th on the opening Pickering stage. Roger the Ninja Hill and Graham Giddens in the Toyota Corolla were 8th after the first stage but improved on their position. They were about 4 seconds off the leader on stage 1 and continued to slip further in the time, as did every driver behind the hot pace being set by Roger Skeete. Trinidad-based John Powell and Nicholas Telfer were among the top 5 who were all less than a second behind Skeete on the opening stage. However, they started to slip off the pace as the day progressed. Neil Armstrong and Barry Ward in the Toyota Starlet were inside the top 10 from the onset as they battled for the top 2-wheel drive spot. They led Supermodified 10 after stage 1, but surrendered it after the next stage. However, they maintained their second place in the 2-wheel drive overall battle as well as not slipping outside the top 10. Brothers Roger and Barry Mears were blisteringly quick on the opening stage in their Toyota Starlet. Ian Warren with his brother Robert Warren in the co-driver's seat of the Suzuki Swift were second in Super Modified 10 on the opening stage. Not surprisingly, it was a cautious start from Rally Barbados first-timer Roger Duckworth from England and his Welsh co-driver Ali Davies. They were outside the top 10 with their Subaru Impreza WRC, but were slipping rapidly behind the front runners. Jeffrey Noel and Craig Yearwood were giving up time to their Production 4 rivals with each passing stage and were second in the class. Josh Reed and Mark Jordan found themselves in an unfamiliar position, which was they were not the Super Modified 9 leaders. Despite his determined driving of the Toyota Starlet, Reed was second in the class behind the Mears brothers and fourth in the two-wheel drive standing. Owen Cumberbatch and Kellyanne Sandiford in the BMW M3 started off impressively as they led Super Modified 11. Brett and Gary Clark in the Citroen C2 were third in the Super Modified 9 class and were less than a second off second place Josh Reed on the opening stage. Sammy Cumberbatch and Nicholas Yard in the BMW M3 were third in the Super Modified 11 after the opening stage, but steadily climbed their way up the order. Michael Worm and Andy Croney in the Subaru Impreza STI were the early leaders of Modified 8A, and they were just outside the overall top 10. James Betts and Jeffrey Goddard in the Renault Clio seemingly had a cautious start to the rally, but never trailed in Group B despite posting an initial time outside the top 20. Andrew Jones and Kurt Ward in the Ford Escort Mark II were back to their old ways. Sideways. Germany's Brent Neufer and Barbados' Jonathan Linton in the Opel Astra OPC Turbo, which is the first turbocharged two-wheel drive car to run in the Production 4 class in Barbados. England's Steve Perez and Paul Spooner in the Porsche 911 RSR were the leaders in the historic Class 3 and getting to learn the Porsche better with every run. Trinidad's Stuart Johnson and Barbados co-driver Chris Hode in the Subaru Impreza were having their ups and downs during the rally. England's Nigel Warswick and Lindsay Pilkington found themselves off the pace of the Super Modified 10 front runners. England's Craig Salter and Preston Aries in the Ford Escort RS Mark I. Wales' Paul Rees and England's Kevin Hutchinson in the Vauxhall Astra were still in the hunt for Modified 5 and showed signs of a mishap as he passed through the Orange Hill stage.
Rally Barbados 2011, how is it so far for you?
On and popping.